everyone. This is Rambabu Vasupilli, CEO of MCPL Group of Companies. Today, I'm coming forward with a very interesting topic. What is the impact of the location that you mention on your resume in IT job search? So that is the topic we are going to discuss in this video. Some of the people might ask me the question, does it really have any impact? Okay, after the end of this video, you will really see how much impact it will make. Okay, before that, I need to tell you some, statistics. Okay, in IT job market in Canada, 70% of the job market is in Ontario. Okay, in GTA, Ottawa, and some other small locations. 10% of the market is in Eastern Canada, which includes Halifax, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Quebec, everything combined together. About 10% of the job market is in BC, okay, Victoria, Vancouver, and some other places. And 10% of the market, rest of Canada. This is how currently the job market is. Okay. Now, let's say you are in Ontario, or you are in GTA, Greater Toronto Area, and there is a job in Calgary. Okay, if you mention your location as Toronto, and if you apply for a job in Calgary, imagine from the perspective of a recruiter. Can recruiter have a confidence that you can indeed come to Calgary to do the job? No, right? Okay, so many a time what they do, they try to give you a relocation bonus. They try to attract you to come to Calgary. But if by any chance you put your location as Toronto and then you apply for a job in Calgary, first of all, they'll try to filter all the candidates who are in Calgary. If they are not able to get any candidate locally within Calgary, then they try to open the resumes which come from outside Calgary. Then if your profile is good, if your interview is good, then they might give you an offer offering a relocation bonus as well. Okay, but then if you see here, who are they giving first preference to? They will be giving first preference to all the local candidates. For example, a Calgary recruiter from a Calgary company posts a job and he gets about 200 resumes. In those 200 resumes, let's say some 20 to 30 resumes come from within Calgary, and about rest of the resumes come from outside Calgary. So first he will try to scan all the resumes that come from within Calgary and then see who is the best candidate. They'll first interview those candidates. If none of the candidate is good, then they will try to shortlist the profiles from people who are outside Calgary. This is how typically they do it, because they don't want it to, number one, even if they give offer, why would anybody from Toronto come to Calgary, which is a cooler location, right, compared to Toronto, and it's not that much of a active location as well compared to the Toronto, right? So they don't have confidence that a candidate from Toronto can come to Calgary even if given offer. So to be on the safer side, they will try to choose a candidate within Calgary. Number two, another example I'll give you. Okay, let's take the case because 70% of the job market is within GTA. I'll tell you how that impacts. Again, in GTA, there are several important locations: Kitchener, Waterloo, Brampton, Mississauga, Oakville, Markham, downtown Toronto, Scarborough, Richmond Hill, and so on. Let's say you are living in Kitchener, okay, and in your resume you mentioned your home location as Kitchener, and you are trying to apply for jobs in GTA. Let's say there is a company in downtown Toronto or in Markham who wants to, search for candidates to do a particular role. Then do you think they will try to invite a candidate for interview who is living in Kitchener? Probably not, because they think that even if they give offer for a candidate living in Kitchener, the probability of the candidate coming to office is very less, because it's about 2 to 3 hours of commute one side. So two sides, it's almost like 4 or 5 hours of commute, right? So people in Markham or companies in Markham won't have confidence that even if they give offer to a candidate in Kitchener, they will come to the location or not, they are not sure. So that's why safer side, they try to prefer the locations which are 1 hour away from Markham, which are like downtown Toronto, Richmond Hill, okay, and so on, like sometimes even Brampton and Mississauga as well. That's why putting up your location is such an important thing when it comes to getting your resume shortlisted. Many people don't understand this. They just put if a candidate is living in what is that Windsor, he'll put his location as Windsor. He'll start applying for jobs in GTA. How on earth can that guy in Windsor get calls from companies in GTA? He can't get it because the companies in GTA won't have confidence that even if they give offer, he won't move to the GTA area, right? He might have bought the house, so they don't want to get into all those details. Just if the location is outside GTA, they don't even consider. They'll consider in the worst case scenario when they are not able to get any candidate locally, or if the profile of the candidate in Windsor is wow kind of a profile, then only they try to see that. Otherwise, even if you are very talented, experienced, since you are in Windsor, the probability of getting calls from companies in GTA is very less. Okay, if there is a company in Brampton, and if you put your location as Markham, same problem, right? So, so what is the trick here? So the trick here is wherever you are in GTA, to be on the safer side, always mention your location as Toronto. That way, you always think that you are from Toronto and you are not lying because you are in Greater Toronto area. So you are in Toronto, right? Always mention your location on your resume as Toronto, and then they will see, okay, you are in Toronto, so you are anyway like 1 hour away from drive from the location, so you can come to office quite easily, right? But once you get the offer, you can figure out how you wanted to commute. You can communicate with your manager to give hybrid setup, or sometimes even remote if you are lucky. After getting the offer, we can figure out all the ways. But just because mentioning your location accurately, if it is affecting your job search, then the hack is mention your location as Toronto if you are living in any area in GTA. In fact, any area in Ontario, I would say, even if you are living in Sudbury or Windsor, always try to mention your location as Toronto so that the number of calls you get from companies in GTA area will increase. If there are more number of calls, then the probability of getting more interviews is high. If you get more interviews, then the probability of getting more offers or at least one offer is very high. But once you get the offer, always try to show your seriousness by going to office quite almost daily. Show your seriousness, your worth, your sincerity, discipline, punctuality, and then try to negotiate. Hey, I'm living in Windsor, but for this job, I come to Toronto. I'm staying here in my friend's house for the past 3 to 4 weeks. So you have seen my work. Can you allow me working from Windsor? I'm okay to come to office location once or twice in a week. Then as long as you showcase your work, I don't think managers are, so cruel not to allow that. They are very flexible as long as you showcase your work, you do your deliveries. But showing that seriousness is utmost important. Now let me cover the cases where, how do you convince candidate if you are in GTA, but you are interested to relocate to other areas like Montreal, New Brunswick, Halifax, Calgary, um, Vancouver, etc., right? I apply some hacks which I think might be useful for you because Toronto GTA is very, very crowded, so there is so much of a competition. So if you try to search for jobs only in GTA area, the probability might decrease. So you should also try for jobs all across Canada so that the probability of getting an offer increases. But at the same time, you should be in a position to relocate if you get an offer. But then how do we ensure we get calls? How do we ensure we get, you know, um, good number of interviews for this? Take the case of, Vancouver. Okay. So let's say a company or a HR of a company in Vancouver called you and you are in Toronto. Okay. So then obviously the recruiter or the HR will know that you are in Toronto. The very first question they ask is, are you willing to relocate? Okay. Then recruiters and HR knows that you will always say yes. But we have to say that yes in a very convincing way. So this is how I would tell if I get a call from a recruiter or a HR in Vancouver. Hey, Mr. John, yeah, I'm willing to relocate. In fact, my wife got the job in Vancouver and she is working there for the past few months. But I'm the one who is searching for job in Toronto because I'm still working here. But I don't mind relocating. In fact, I would love to relocate so that I will be with my wife and family. So this is a case where it gives a very good impact to the HR or the recruiter because he will believe you that yes, you will definitely come to Vancouver if you are given an offer. Then the interview process will happen. But in real, what is happening? Your wife is in Toronto only. You are in Toronto only. But the decision what you have to make is when once you get a job, the whole family should move to Vancouver. That way, both the company is happy, you are happy. Vancouver is a nice place. The same formula you can apply for in Alberta also. Like, how do you convince a HR or a recruiter in Alberta to, that you will come to Calgary indeed. So you can say, hey, I recently bought a house in Calgary, but since I did not get any job in Calgary, I did not move yet. But I would love to explore this opportunity so that if I get a job, I'll be willing to move, right? So many people are buying homes in Calgary. So this is another reason you can say. Now let's see what reason can you tell for the eastern provinces, like New Brunswick, Halifax, and Montreal. Okay, so one of the reason you can say is if a recruiter from Montreal calls you that you are looking that they are looking for a candidate in Montreal who can work from Montreal. So you can say, yeah, so I would love to relocate to Montreal. In fact, I know French as well. Here, the cost of living in Toronto has drastically increased. I'm not able to save money. I would love to move to Montreal. So that gives more impact to the recruiters. So this way, what happens is when the recruiter or the HR is very convinced that yes, this candidate is really interested to move, then they will, in a very fast mode, set up all the interviews and help you get a decision so that they can get this candidate faster, right? So these are some of the tricks that you can apply. Location is such an important thing, irrespective of where you are in Ontario. Always mention your location as Toronto. Be it Windsor, be it Sudbury, be it Ottawa, mention your location as Toronto. Okay. There is one more hack that I will tell you. Like, for example, if you are living in, let's say, Waterloo, okay, and if there is a company in Waterloo, then if you are applying for that company, at least for that company, like for companies locally within your surroundings, maintain a separate version of the resume. For companies outside your surroundings, maintain another version of the resume. So for companies outside your location, you'll mention as Toronto because you're in Waterloo. For companies within your surroundings, you'll always mention it as Waterloo. So this also increases the probability of getting an interview. Okay. And where do we mention all these things? Okay. When you are submitting your job applications, always mention your location accordingly, depending on where the company is, right? I don't expect you to prepare so many versions of the resumes, just two versions. One version with a location as Toronto and another version location as, Waterloo, if you are living in Waterloo, or you can map it to your appropriate areas. Now, some people ask me in most of my career consultation calls, is it really mandatory to mention location? Yes, it is really, really mandatory. If there is no location, what do I have to infer? Shall I infer that you are applying for this job from India or from Canada or from US? Right? They don't know. So they'll just keep that resume aside. They'll try to scan the resumes based on the location and they try to shortlist. So if there is no location, then you are making the life of the recruiter very difficult. Always think from the perspective of the recruiter or the HR. How they will think if they see my resume. They should see location. Oh, this guy is Brampton. So the location, this guy is in Brampton. The company location is in downtown Toronto. Oh, he can come on a GO train with a 1 hour travel and daily can commute. So that gives him confidence. But if there is no location, you cannot have confidence where you are applying from. Are you applying from US, Windsor, right? They don't know Oakville. They don't know. So just to make sure that you know uh, that, there is no confusion, they will keep that resume aside, and they will try to look into the resumes where complete information is there. So never ever miss mentioning your location, right? Always mention your location, and what location you have to mention, I just told in this video. So watch it again if you miss it. So don't prepare any resume without any location information. It is utmost important. This is the reason why this is a very small and silly thing. People miss it. This is the reason why many people, even though they are very experienced, okay, they don't get calls because these are filtered by the conditions given by the recruiters in the ATS. They're filtered by the HRs when there is no location because they spend few seconds on your resume to quickly see where are you from, what are you, how much experience you are, and then go to the next resume because they get hundreds and hundreds of resumes, right? Yours is not the only resume that they are going to get, and people always think from the candidate perspective. Oh, I'm so experienced. How come I'm not getting the calls? But they don't try to see the faults they are doing from their end, and location is one such fault. Okay, watch this video again now. You will understand the importance of the location, what location you have to keep, what story you have to tell if you are in a different location, how you must convince the recruiter or a HR if you are coming from a different location, right? And when once you get past the offer stage, always try to meet the commitments of the company because that is also important. Company invested a lot of time, money on you to recruit, and you should also respect that. Getting a job is important, irrespective of the location. So, hope this video is very helpful for you. If you find it useful, share it with your friends and like this video so that it will get more reachability.